Okay, hello everyone. I'm so excited to be here with all of you, and not least with Erin Cameron, who is by now a dear friend of mine. We recently became friends after connecting on one of my calls first, and also later on Erin's podcast. So I know many of you who have registered are new to me, so I want to give a little bit of background for this conversation. So I'm Matilda Lurchi, and I work with spiritual guidance and healing, and in particular with children. And I help parents and professionals to start working with healing with their own children and the children they work with. So that is a great focus for me. And during one of these calls, I have once in a while these open calls where I share about the New Earth children and how I see them, what they're bringing to the planet, and how we can assist them. Erin was on one of these calls and asked some really brilliant questions and shared some really amazing information about her own work, and you can say her life service with her daughter Hadden. And after that, we connected, and it was so fun. We almost forgot to start recording when I was guesting her podcast because we were really just chatting away because we have so much in common with our background in science. So now I will start introducing you, Erin. First of all, welcome to this conversation today.
Thank you, Matilda. I'm so excited and just honored to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. So, a little bit of background. So, what I know about you, Erin, is that you were a scientist before. Funny how we can identify with such a title, but that was really, I believe, also your perspective on life was really colored. That was by science. That was why you chose it. And then you had your daughter, Hadden, who presumably was having like this health challenge. I will let you share more about that yourself, and did not come to Earth to speak human language, the verbal language that we all probably master at this point. She came here to bring something else. And that changed your world completely and put you on a different trajectory out of science, away from that, and into a new, different approach to understanding reality. Erin, do you want to introduce yourself? Also, bring a bit
That,
more details
yeah,
into it.
that's a great beginning. I certainly thought I was going to come back to my job in biotech in 6 months. That was the plan. Don't you love when we plan things? And so, yeah, I never went back, and she became my world, as probably any mom can understand. Um, and then, yeah, she presented very differently, so differently that there's no manual for any kid, but I certainly had uh, absolutely no idea what I was doing or what anything she came here with. It was all completely new for me and an absolute mystery. And along the way, there's just been a lot of beauty and joy, and all of that led me here. Um,
Mm.
and she led me here. Um, but yeah, I think the background is important in the sense that it helped me in those times to advocate for her, to somewhat understand what had happened to her
Mm.
in
Yeah.
that level of consciousness. And it was part of our journey for me to be super into the medical side of it. Um, and then that knowledge kind of leads you only so far. And then I just got to this point of what else? There's got to be more. There's something else. What else is going on here? It can't just be this like
Mm.
endless, get up every day and try to fix things and help her and get more and more. I don't know. There's just this never-ending cycle of wanting things to be different. But
Mm.
yet then you find yourself in moments with her where you wouldn't change a darn thing, right? And these magical moments that she had me in, um, that made me go, okay, what's going on here? Is it magical or is it stressful and hard?
Yes.
And like, what are we doing here? Are we doing this or are we doing this? And I just chose at some point. And I think our souls know that's what we're gonna choose.
Yeah.
And she knew. And then yay.
Who did that? Fireworks.
I'm, I'm
That
in
must
tune
be
with this.
Hadden.
Totally. Yay. That is our souls celebrating.
Yeah, and for those listening, maybe on the audio, there was just a lot of fireworks popping up on Erin's screen, so that was really fun. Erin, can I ask you? So it's I remember I saw a post recently had Hadden was turning 18 years. So how old were you when you had Hadden? Was she your first child? So
Yeah.
where were you at in your life at that time?
I was obsessively wanting a child for about 3 years before I had her. I was like, I, yeah, I certainly was like, that was on my agenda. And I was 30 when I had her. Um, and she is my first. I come from a family of, I have two siblings, and we're all very close in age, and we were all very close, and I always wanted more kids, but you have Hadden, and it's like having five. So she was my first and only. Yeah, I went into my dad's office after she was born, and at some point, or I think someone in our family saw his office, and he had a picture of Hadden like stuck over, like pinned over someone else's picture, like somebody else in the family on his like board behind his desk. And he's like, they were like, well, why did you cover up everyone else's picture with Hadden's? And it was right when she was born. And he goes, well, Hadden's number one. So she was number one and only, and that's how she wanted it. And I think I always thought about if I was going to have more, she would just not be cool with it. Like, it would
Yeah.
just take too much attention up from her. So yeah, I always wanted more, but that was just not in she was such a focus, obviously, and honestly, very fulfilling in that way. So I, at the same time, didn't feel like I was missing out.
Mm. Yeah, and I know we were also like, I was writing in the description of this conversation that Hadden is nonverbal. And I know for many, it's like very known to many now that many autistic children are nonverbal, but that's not what Hadden was diagnosed with. Do you want to share a little bit about what they said
It's
about
just funny. We're so connected. I was like, oh, that's we
that?
need to say how did
Yeah.
she present?
And
Um,
also, can I ask, what did you feel at that time? I know you're a very different place now, but what did it feel like at that time? I want to walk people to where you are at now. So what was like the span there, the journey?
it honestly started right when she was born, and that's when the confusion and chaos began. Um, they didn't really understand what she came here with. And they tried for the 9.5 weeks that we were in the NICU, that she stayed there after birth. They were really trying to figure her out, and ran a lot of different tests, and basically figured out that nothing had happened, to traumatize the brain or anything like that. And she still left a mystery. And it's because those genetic panels that had the gene mutation on them had not come out yet. They were out in Europe actually, but it takes the US a little longer. So, and then
Mm.
they want to charge you, like $15,000 for them. So we had to wait, and she was 6 years old when we got the diagnosis. But that entire time, essentially, they, uh, they meaning the medical field, every doctor, we saw was like, well, she has what she has. She's going to be disabled. She's going to be um, her development is going to stop at some point. It'll go like this, and then it'll just do this. And that was their general feel for what they had seen and how she was presenting. And she had essentially a lot of seizures in the beginning that you can't really see when they're first born. Clinically, they don't show seizures for a couple of weeks, I guess. Um, but her brain was, hi, Lita. Her brain was very busy. The background activity of her brain from the minute she was born. So they knew something central nervous system was up. They just didn't know what. And Honestly, the first time I heard any kind of diagnosis, I was in the hospital with her with something. We went in, maybe she had a cold or something she needed to be treated for. And one of the doctors was doing rounds and to introduce her to everyone else, and he said she has CP. And I was like, no one's told me this, right? And cerebral palsy is it's just an umbrella term that is used to
Mhm.
describe a number of you can have CP and be highly functional. My Hadden is not highly functional. She has um, very limited motor function. So that would be her, other than the seizures, her other limitation is physical. So she's in a wheelchair. She is super social, very expressive with her, you know, her smile, her face, her size, her tone of voice, her like all of it, um, but nonverbal. And she is fed through a G tube and basically did not, she came here to get the VIP treatment. And she didn't come here to worry about what she was, where she was going to go to college, what she was going to do in life. She is just fully here bringing her absolute full presence and not having to worry about any of her daily cares. She's got, I say she has people for that. So, but as you know, like you said, that's where I am now with it. When all of this was happening, in terms of, I just didn't really ever want to know. I told you we got her diagnosis when she was 6. That's a long time to wait for a diagnosis. But they basically said, she doesn't have anything that's, it's not the mitochondria, it's not all these known things that they were trying to pin down. They basically had ruled out a lot of stuff, and they're like, we think it's genetic, but we don't know what. Um, and I just thought, well, no matter what it is, it's not going to change our everyday life. And so I kind of was in this place until we got the diagnosis that I didn't want it. But that was the also the part of me that was in complete denial that there was anything wrong. I just wanted it to go away. I wanted her to turn 2 years old and grow out of the seizures. I wanted the miracle to happen. I pictured her walking around in my front yard with her snow boots on. Like I had all of these like because what I saw in front of me was this happy, very healthy kid that was full of potential. And I always thought like she's just waiting to get better. She never
Mhm.
really looked special to me. Like there was something about her that I was like, well, there was multiple things going on that I was feeling how awesome her energy is, and that was confusing me. I was having amazing connection with her as her mom. But then I had all of these doctor's appointments and all of this serious shit and all of these trips to the emergency room and calling the ambulance. And she's just as a baby, she was so unstable. So it was a
Yeah.
lot. And, uh, but there was a part of me that I just didn't want the diagnosis. That was kind of
Mhm.
that's the easiest way to put it because I knew it wouldn't change. I knew they couldn't fix it. If they could have fixed it, they would have by then, right? So I was kind
Yeah.
of in this place, well, it's not going to change our everyday reality. And then if I don't get the diagnosis, then it's not real. Like I could just,
Mhm.
so a lot of my being positive back then was just sort of being in denial.
I love you're saying that, Erin. And I believe that so many can relate. And sometimes I see it in many parents, I would say that they do it also because they intuitively feel there's a different truth. So it can really feel like denial, but it's like they're already connecting with a higher truth, but it takes time to land. So when you were talking, you talked about the miracle happening. You wanted the miracle to happen. I heard, yeah, and then yes, and then the miracle happened, but it happened within you. So when did the miracle happen, Erin? Did you experience it as such?
Um, it was a slow go. I basically, my human has to be pushed into entire discomfort before she tries to find a way out. So, um, I think the moment that I remember things clicking a little bit where I was like, okay, there is definitely something going on here that's bigger than all of this. She had a spine surgery at the end of 2022 in December of that year. And that was kind of my breaking point in terms of my physical ability as a parent to like be here and be positive and be hold myself together. Because it was an 11 and a half hour surgery, and she got her entire spine fused, which is actually pretty common for disabled people. As they get bigger and taller, they need that support for their organs and just their everyday comfort. And it was a life-changing, amazing thing, but a lot for a kid to go through, and I was terrified. And she gets out of that surgery, and they're like, the anesthesiologist was like, okay, and mind you, she's in like the highest risk category in their minds. Like the kid can't do anything. She has intractable seizures. She's got the works in terms of like medical problems. Maybe there are more, right? She doesn't have a trach. She does like, but in general, when to put a kid like that under, they're like the whole risk is that they won't come out of that long of a surgery and that they would remove the tube, and that was kind of the risky part of the whole thing. So the anesthesiologist was like, yeah, she was breathing, like taking these big deep breaths, like 4 minutes after I ended the meds, like before I even pulled the tube out, she's taking these huge breaths on her own. He was like, she blew him away. She got discharged. They said she was in 5 days after a full spinal fusion, her thoracic to her lumbar, to her hips. And that normal would be like 7 days, but some kids take weeks, it really just depends on the kid. The doctors were like, this is the fastest neuromuscular discharge I've ever seen. And I'm just like, yep, that's Hadden. I always say, like, she likes to freak you out on the front end and like impress you on the back end. Like, right? Like, you go to the hospital and you're like, oh my God, she's not breathing well and we need, all this support. And then gets out in like 3 days and is like, oh, I'm good. That's cool. And you're like, oh my God, it scared me so. Like, she likes to impress on the back end, is what I say. So
It's like she understand the drama. That's like what you like in the movies, right? That's why you and she's like, I get that.
it's like I came here to have my full effect, right? Um,
Yes.
so
Wow.
I got to the end of that
Wow.
surgery and I was like, okay, I didn't do that. There's nothing that I did. She did that. And I had had a couple of different other times where like respiratory illnesses with her and times where she was seizing and like not stopping and like spending weeks in the hospital and adjusting meds and these times where I was like, I'm afraid of losing her. And we always made it out. And I'd had like one of those that was like, I looked back to that one too and I thought, okay, she's, there's something keeping her here. She has a purpose. Like that's what came in. I was like, okay, she got to be here for a reason because dang, there's so many chances for her to go. Like I'm like, and the fact that I knew that I didn't do that as her parent. I didn't, that surgery was not me. That was her entirely. And the surgeon. He was amazing. But that recovery process, all of it, she's like, I'm good, let's go. Like, and I was like, wow, that's her. And so I just thought, okay, there's something bigger going on here. And yeah, it's something I hadn't quite tapped into yet. And that's where it all started for me. I was just feeling like really burnt out and I was just done trying to fix her. And I really just wanted to live in the magical world that she pulls you into with that connection, that nonverbal connection. I feel it with from her every day. And I thought, that's what I want to live in. And I want to figure out that purpose and I want to be open to it. And I had no idea at the time what it would be. So I didn't know
Hmm.
half of what I know. Like,
Yeah.
I could not have had this interview a year ago, even.
It's beautiful.
So it's been like it's a trajectory for sure the last couple of years since then. But that was the moment.
Yeah.
after that surgery. Like, okay.
I love that. And I want to go into the telepathy, but first I want to say, because that was just going a bit deeper with something you just shared, because you shared that when we were talking some other time, the thing about Hadden is like people feel really good about around her. It's like they can feel her energy, and it's always been that way. People wanted to hold her as a child, and as you said, your dad wanted to like number one. There's something about her. Do you want to share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the first time I experienced it where it wasn't, family or, it was when she was in the NICU. Um, uh, Nurse after nurse after nurse would come up to me. People that weren't her nurses that I didn't know would, because we were only there during the days and at night we would leave. And so I'm sure she had a lot of interaction with people when we weren't there in the evenings and overnight. And they would say, I just love standing over your baby's bin. I just love being around her. It's just, they're like, she's just amazing. And this was like 4 or 5 different nurses in the span of, a week or something. I don't know. It was one after the, and people I didn't, I'm like, they weren't even her nurse. They weren't even like having to take care of her. They literally were just drawn to her and they're like, I love hanging out with your baby. And I'm like, whoa. Uh, and then in school, kids don't see the limitations. They don't see the wheelchair, as you all know, if you're working with children, they're absolutely in higher consciousness until we teach them otherwise. And so she she was just an absolute magnet for kids, and I thought it was going to be the opposite. Like at school, kids would like fight over going to lunch with her and being the one to hold her hand and walk her to lunch, or push her on the swing and the playground. She would have like a line of like 15 kids waiting for their one chance to push her and say, Hadden, this is, you know, Billy pushing you. And like they would say who was pushing, stuff like that, just over and over her entire life. That, she wasn't telling these people anything about her. She was just being, right? And that just drew people to her. And yeah, I think the most obvious is when people will compliment her on something she's wearing because they don't know how else to say, I feel you. They're like, oh, Haddon, your shoes are amazing. And she's like, thanks, like smile. I think that is kind of, I've observed these behaviors from people where it's like they're actually sensing and loving her energy, but they're commenting on the shoes because that's the expression, the outward expression that they can say, Hadden, awesome to see you today.
So beautiful. I
Just a few
love that, Erin.
examples, but yeah, she's
Yeah.
certainly a highly energetic kid.
She's definitely here for the VIP treatment. I can hear it. So fun. Okay, so I want to hear, when did you start feeling that you could communicate with her through your thoughts? When did that happen and how has it evolved as since then?
Yeah, so my journey with that has been highly, I think, soul-led because my human was just like, "Do, do, 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 do." Like no clue. So I had a friend give me a book it was kind of like a series of like doing things and pe running into people that I now see as just complete and total divine orchestration. I had a friend give me a book from Mike Dooley, the Infinite Possibilities book. And, the whole purpose of that being that thoughts create your reality. And I had that book on my nightstand like a Bible for like 2 years. Um, and in that process, learn, kind of opening to that part of ourselves. I also was like, okay, I just want to feel better, like physically, mentally, emotionally. I had moved from Colorado to San Francisco Bay Area where I live now. Very different life, and I felt like I just moved and I thought, okay, new place, it's gonna be awesome. And one of those like, wherever you are, there you are. Like I just came with all of my stuff and I was like, huh. I'm still the same person with all the same feelings about life, right? So I was like, I just wanted this whole life to feel better. And I actually went to a Reiki practitioner during that time, right before her surgery. It was a couple months before. And I had already actually, after reading the Mike Dooley book, I had watched one of his panels. I had signed up for a panel that had several channels on it, not knowing what channels were, what channels do, who these people were. I just loved Mike Dooley and his whole positive vibe and the book and that. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I've read a lot in my 20s about, I've read books written by mediums. I've read books, you know, Deepak Chopra's Path to Love. Like I'd run into all of these spiritual books and read them, but kind of like, you know, Power of Now from Eckhart Tolle. All, I'd read all of those not knowing like this was going to be my world later. And I see that also as sort of preparation. So I joined this panel. I watched this panel at different, like it was 7 or 8 channels, and I started following a few of them, and one being Sarah Landon. And in that process, then I go and I'm like, okay, cool. I was just very drawn to her and her community, and just kind of there for the vibe. Like I just loved the uplifting vibration. I didn't know really anything of how it was working or what it was, or I was just there for the vibe. And loving the sort of higher perspective and knowing that somewhere in there was this more that I was looking for. And I went to this Reiki lady who was much more than a Reiki lady, but that was what her official thing was. And she's like, yeah, you and Hadden have had previous lives together. And she said, you're going to learn to uh, you know, speak with her telepathically, and you're going to teach other people this. And you're going to learn to channel her, and then you're going to teach other people telepathy. And I was
Wow.
okay, because at that point I was like, well, I'm going to read her mind. Like I have no idea what this lady's saying. But in the back of my head, I was like, oh, well, I just joined this community and I was already looking at Sarah was having a channel course coming up where you could learn to channel. And I was like, I already wanted to do that. So it's like I was leading myself, and then this lady was like, "You're gonna," and I was like, "Oh, I guess that's my sign to sign up for this class." And so essentially, I learned to channel with the goal of connecting with Hadden. It's like something in me it just went bing during that Reiki session because essentially her skill was to read your connect with your soul and a lot of what you do with kids, right? You're connecting into their energy and you're just receiving what they're here for on the highest levels. And to her, I'm sure it was super obvious. She's like, listening to me tell her about Hadden, and then Hadden, she said Hadden was all over that session. She's like, it's like me and mom, we're gonna do all. She's like, she was so excited, like we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna write these books, we're gonna teach these people. And I was like, okay, that does sound like Hadden, like super excited and, you know, ready to go, happy to be here. But it was funny because it was just the thing I needed to like confirm, like, oh, I was already going to take this channeling course. Um, and then I start channeling her and stuff was coming through that I was like, wait, what? I thought you were going to tell me how to heal you. Like I thought she was going to have the answers of how to make her better. And it was this whole, it was just it was all about me and like and also our choice to be here and what that was, and it was so much bigger, and I was like, wait, this isn't anything what I thought was going to come through. I'm like constantly asking her like, how can I help you, what it was, you know, what no, it was just anyway,
Beautiful.
yeah, I
Yeah.
forget what your question was, but does
And
that
this is so perfect. And I want to say, like you said with that Reiki lady, that was also how I felt when we started to connect. I felt Haddon all the time. And when we were doing the podcast, it was like 2 hours before we were meeting. It was like Haddon was putting on music. So I heard music. It was like we were like pumping up the party. I was like, that's so funny. There is so much energy in her. And I love what you just shared, the thing about you thought it was about healing her. And I remember also in one of the conversations you said like she was just like turning it back to you, like, no, mom, it's you. It's like there's I'm
Guiding me.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, she's absolutely guiding me. And I remember in her first messages, she's like, you can't take the worry and the fear and the stress. You can't take those to this world that I'm in. You can't take those to this higher dimension where I exist, where I am healed, where I'm perfect. And I'm like, oh, okay, she's saying she's healed. This is good. Like I want to get there. I'm here and I want to get there.
Yeah.
And now I have this entire different sort of perception of what healing is too.
Mm.
But yeah, the whole time she was guiding me. And and that has been I was even getting that a lot this morning from her. Like, this isn't about me, it's about you. It's about all of you. It's about us. It's not about them. They're just showing us the way.
Mm.
In order for them to really live their purpose out, um, in the most effective way, it was a deal. It's a deal we all made to be in their lives and to actually rise to where they are, where everything is amazing and
Mm.
perfect and actually has a purpose. Even the most obscure, seemingly limited qualities are not
Mm.
limited at all.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. Um, So yeah, I've learned so much from her, and it's gone beyond the learning and the understanding with my mind into this other space of feeling the truth of things.
Mm.
Feeling that in her messages, that to hear her say something, hear myself say something, that's her talking to me, um, and to feel my whole being go, yes, I already knew that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what, when you're pulling stuff from the soul realm, um, there's just this resonance, and I keep getting more and more of it. And that's the place where I live now. Um, but, she guided me from this place where I was entirely in my head. I didn't know how to, I wasn't aware of my own vibration and my own thoughts and my own feelings and how they were affecting me and how she was responding to that. And now it's like super obvious. Like if she's having a hard day, Hadden doesn't have generally hard days on her own. Um, Sometimes, you could point to a circumstance, like an illness or something. Um, but so often it's like she's just a little off, and it's like, yep, mom needs to go for a run. Yep.
Yes.
It's so obvious. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
That
It's so,
connection becomes what you exist from. But
yeah.
I was guided there through all of these um, messages, and for me it was just it did feel like my kid was talking to me.
Mm.
But I think on a human level, it's all I had. So I was like, well, let's do this. Let's see what's Haddon has to say. And
Mm.
then I felt the energy of it. And when I would specifically channel her versus like maybe my higher self, it was like in the beginning, I felt the difference. Like I was like, whoa, when I channel Haddon, like it's like a whole other level. It was just a really strong energy. And so that
Mm.
made me go, okay, well, this is cool. Um, but yeah, it wasn't, yeah, it's been a journey for sure. Um, Learning that. And then there's this whole other level of how, I've applied it to like how I interact with her every day. So it's not like I just sit down and channel her when she's at school or, or at night after we go to bed. Like it's become just a way of my biggest interest was eventually to use that in my everyday receiving of what she is always communicating. They're always communicating. And I couldn't have said that a year ago even. Like at the level of, I'm telling you, it's like
Yeah.
You get on this trajectory with them and they will get you there.
And it's so geniusly orchestrated. That's the word that come up, that it's the children that we love so much that we are willing to open ourselves to and move forward because we love them, and we are willing to go to those uncomfortable places because they're really blissful once you're there. But the way the resistance you can have towards going into feeling love, pure love and connection, it's funny how much resistance we can have to that, but we really can. But the kids make us want to go there. And also, as Hadden said, there's a bigger picture. It's not just about being, the word that come up, successful or healthy, seen from a limited human perspective. It's about receiving that higher wisdom into our bodies and seeing that we are already that. We are already just successfully present in this moment. So I love that, and I'm so excited that we get to have this conversation. I want to go to the questions now. That's what they say. I have so many more questions for you, Erin. I would love to do this again some other time, go even deeper. But Mike, I'd say it's time to go to the questions. So we can hear what everyone on the call have felt coming up during our conversation. So again, I want to repeat that if you unmute yourself and you are on video, your video will be recorded. So if you don't want your video to be recorded, you can unmute yourself without having the video on, or you can write questions in the chat. And if you're happy to be on the video, we would love to see your face while you ask the question. So just know you have option. Okay, please, you can either raise your hand or write in the chat. Let us know what anyone love
Oh, I
to
love
ask.
how what Lita said in the chat. I heard Abraham say once that when people receive a diagnosis is when they get worse, because
Yeah,
we're in so many beliefs about that diagnosis. And I
yeah.
love what you're saying, Matilda, that there's something in us that it just doesn't resonate with a part of us, right? To get it. So I
Mm.
love that. Thanks, Lita.
Mm.
Yeah, truth is truth. It's been spoken for a long time and these kids are representing it for sure. But yeah,
Yeah.
something in me was like, nope, I'm good. Don't let me, I don't want to know what it
I want to have infinite possibilities to create
is.
my own reality.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I love that too. And I
But there's
see that
that
if
level
you,
nothing's wrong. And if you can align to that, that is when the healing occurs in any of us,
mm,
right?
yeah, and what Lisa just shared, I think I see that for myself also, that there comes a lot of like dense energy together with the perspective of a certain disease or diagnosis. It's like you have a whole perspective and a whole density around that perspective. I had my own nephew, he went through cancer when he was 5, and I felt it back then, like in some worlds it's like you have to view it this way, you have to see it this way, and there's only this outcome, and that can feel very dense for a luminous soul. If you are so connected with your soul, it's like, no, that's not true. I mean, we can deal with what is, but also it feels dense to take some of these beliefs on.
Yeah.
Okay, let us know, does anyone have a question for Erin? We would love to know. Lita. Just
You know me, Matilda. I know
yes.
your question. Yes. Well, this is a bit of a comment and a question. The school where I spent a lot of time, a child just started there, a 6-year-old, with the disease that I had heard of from the Benjamin Button movie that I think is called progenia, where the reverse aging, so their body starts to decline supposedly, and the life expectation, what I heard from her teacher is age 13 or something. But this child is like, she was so drawn to me. She just like grabbed onto my hands and was like looking deeply in my eyes, and I could really feel her energy. And Erin, I can see you being of such great assistance to these parents who feel really like, I'm sure her parents probably do feel really hopeless about this child's future. So that was mainly what I wanted to share with you. That I see so much that you were bringing through, you and Hadden bringing to that population of parents with children with special needs. So thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, it's that is what it's all about. You know, that moment that you shared with her, that's what she's here to bring, right? And that's what all of them are here to bring, is that um that's their divine ability, is what I call it, that connection, that ability to that's what they're guiding us into. And in that is it's just a higher level of connecting, and there's so much there. Um, and for me, it's the thing that I could grab onto with her and go, okay, if she was speaking, I wouldn't feel this connection with her. I wouldn't feel it in the same way because the words would be in the way. My brain would be analyzing words, and right now my being is experiencing another being because there was no other. There's nothing in the way. They're just a stream of light, and when you can receive that, it also, what I'm getting is like, it just, all your beliefs are able to drop away. The ones that are creating the fear about their future, and you just go into that now moment with them, and it's like, that's everything. And then it allows them to show up, that beautiful girl showed up in her highest because you were there in your highest vibration, right? Like, I've been in your vibration, not that I'm not in it right now, but it's so powerful, and it does allow people to show up as pure love. And she's like, oh yeah, let's do this, let's connect. Um,
Beautiful.
but
Thank
that
you.
connection is their power. It's really beautiful. But
Yeah.
in that is what allows you to let go of all of the fear, is just what I'm getting. It's like, that's the answer. It's not any more complicated than that. There's no reason um, to worry when you exist there with them. You just keep existing there with them. And you go, oh, I would never have experienced this if I had a normal child.
Mm.
Maybe, maybe. And I think that's where we're all going. But they take us from here to here. Like, it's
Yes.
amazing. And I do believe when we're in their presence, there's a reason. Like, anyone that is either a parent or working with them, there's purpose there. And you came here to live that with them. You came here to be around them. I'm sure you can
Mm.
feel that, right, Lita? Like, that's your
Well,
total
yeah.
purpose.
And what you
Mm.
said about the when Hadden was an infant in the hospital, those workers coming and telling you how they loved standing over her bassinet because of her light was so pure and so strong they could feel it even though they didn't really understand what it was. But my guys just gave me an image of baby Yeshua. Same
Yeah.
thing, it's like they're coming here with that same powerful, emitting that powerful light. It's like a beacon.
Mm.
When we first started this and Matilda just started talking, I got this clear sort of download about, oh, that's why it's the kids. Like, of course, they would be the leaders. And it never really, as much as I've done this for like 3 years and I've lived with her for 18, it didn't really land until, like, literally, I think honestly, I've wanted to say too, Matilda, we could all just sit in each other's presence and learn shit and then, go home and be like, oh, I got so much out of that call. Like, not even, I get so much. Anyway, this is what came to me, is like, of course it's them leading us. Like, because they're coming in with newer energy, higher energy, and bringing it. And we're all like, what's that? All those nurses were like, I don't know, but I like it and I want to be around it. And she's been expressing it since she got here. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I love that we're in the same energy field because my guys just gave me the expression a little while ago, let the children lead the way.
Mm.
So, mhm.
Absolutely. I was
Beautiful.
like, oh, it's like all of a sudden super obvious. Like, that's the beauty of working with kids, and taking their lead, and it's the opposite of what we would think, right? That the elders are wise. Yes, of course,
Mm.
right? They've been through a whole life and they can teach us.
Yeah.
But these kids are coming in with a pure source energy that is a quality that we don't maybe know yet. And that was how it was designed.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for the question, Lita. So what just came up while you were talking was also I hear from many with the nonverbal children that there's some that choose to stop speaking again, and some that choose never to start speaking because they simply find the spoken language too harsh. It's like it's not filled with love in the same way as our being language, our telepathy is filled with the love. There you cannot be sarcastic or express yourself in a harsh way. It's simply just coming pure from your heart or the divine energy that you are, simply just reading what's there with the understanding of what you're feeling and the other person. And yeah, I love what you shared, Erin, and also you, Lita, about the babies coming in. And we are so ready to receive them. And they're
And
here leading. Yes, Erin.
it's interesting. I would like to share a couple of different, purely telepathic moments that I've experienced that in both of those, I was not really super aware of any of this. This wasn't like a year ago. So my first experience was, and I talk about this very early on in my podcast as sort of my background. I have a twin sister. Her name is Emily, and she passed away from SIDS, when sudden infant death, when we were a couple months old, and we were premature. We were a couple months premature, and we went home and um, with our parents, and we were napping, and she didn't wake up. And so I go through my whole childhood, and I have this sister that I know about. I just kind of like miss her and think about what it would be like if she were around. And there was just this kind of gap that I was experiencing in my life, and always knowing of her, but wondering what she would be like as a human, kind of thing. When I was in my 20s, I was taking a yoga class, and I was in Shavasana at the end. It was a super intense, very real studio, and this class was really intense. And I got to the end, and I'm in the laying on your back pose, right? And my body like sunk into the floor, and I came out of my body, like my consciousness came out of my body, and all of a sudden I'm looking at my body. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Like I was like so free. I've never felt a level of freedom like that. I can still feel back into it, and it's like it's just next level. And it was like every human thought, worry, stress, anything, I left it all in my body, and I was like, oh yeah, I was just pure consciousness. And very quickly, I knew Emily was there with me in this sort of state that where I wasn't my body. And I was like, oh, cool. And I'm still kind of looking at my body, but I'm interacting with Emily. And I got very clearly from her, like, I'm here, and I'm always with you, and I will always, and I'll be at all the important events in your life. And what she was getting at was that, and she said she was going to be at my wedding, which was in a couple of weeks or a month from then. It was coming up. And I was like, oh, amazing. But I look back at that now, and I know that as my sort of first experience of telepathy. Like we were energy. I knew she was there. There were obviously no spoken words, but I was getting words. I came away from that with words, but also like this feeling, this deep knowing of her being there. I just knew that's what she was getting across to me. So it was like I was translating it. Um, and that took me a while. Like, I sort of just went on about my life and thought it was amazing. Um, but I've also channeled her, and she says that Hadden led me back to her, because learning to channel, then I could tune into her. And the other important thing, so that was kind of like a really very early experience of telepathy. Like we don't need the words. We just know what they are.
Yeah.
And in that highest state. And I spent just long enough with her to get it. And it was like, okay, off you go. Um, and another one, it was with Hadden when she was first born. And they took her from me. They did a C-section and just took her to the table. Like I didn't see her she wasn't breathing. So they're like, okay, like we're gonna get her to breathe first. Which I absolutely knew in that moment. I was like, oh, that's my kid. She's gonna breathe. Funny to think back how certain I was about that. I don't know if I was just on a lot of drugs or what, but I just knew she was gonna breathe. Yeah. Thumbs up. I gave us a thumbs up. Yeah, I just knew it. I wasn't worried, and then she did breathe and started crying or whatever, and then they brought her over to me. I didn't get to hold her, which looking back, I was like, if we could have just held each other, we would have just healed in that moment. Like we would have both been fine. Because I was doing this weird shaking thing from the anesthesia, like coming off of it. And I was like, okay, I could stop shaking and Hadden could stop shaking if you would just hand her to me. But I didn't get her, but they just like held her all wrapped up above my head, above my face. And so her face is like right in front of mine. And she looked at me right in the eyes and she's like, you, I know you, and I've been looking for you because she'd been over on the table, like, where's my mom? Like, and it was such a clear transmission of like this recognition. She knew exactly who I was, and then she'd been looking for me, and like, yes, it's you. Like, I've been looking for you. Anyway, I got all of that because I was in such pure love. Because I wasn't thinking anything. The magic of childbirth is you're not, for the most part, in your head. There's so much love there. You can't process normal thought. You're not almost not allowed. You're just supposed to be in pure love. Um, and I think that was just such a pure moment that I didn't even need to know telepathy to get that from her. So they're doing it all the time. It's just us existing with them in the level of consciousness where it can occur, which the easiest way to say that is love.
Beautiful, Erin.
Yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, well, we have one more question that I would love for you to answer before we start either wrapping up or something else that I want to share with you. But we are at the end of the 1 hour that we scheduled to. I love that this thumbs up is coming up now and then over your screen, Erin, especially when you said that you knew Hat was going to be fine. But if you need to jump off here at the top of the hour, feel free to do so. I can see we will go a bit over, but we know that some of you might have other plans. But let's just take this question. It's Nina who says, thank you so much for sharing all of these beautiful perspectives. I am curious to hear if you experience that Hadden has a particularly strong connection to other nonverbal people or children.
So I am not with her a lot at school, but I've experienced that a couple of times where they have a connection with her. So yeah, same, it goes both ways. She's always had a speech device, uh, but it's not, like you said, Matilda, the easiest way for her to communicate, and she kind of doesn't need the words, so she wouldn't always use it. There was one girl in her, this is just an example, like I think it's they're all highly connected. There was another girl in her class. Well, she was actually speaking, but she knew, um, she could feel when Hadden wanted to speak, and the teacher wasn't calling on her. And she made the teacher go back and be like, wait, Hadden has the answer, you know? And then Hadden used her device and it took her a minute. Um, but with other nonverbal, I would say I'm not around to watch that because I don't work with all of them. And it is, I did experience, there was one boy in elementary school that would probably be my best example of that. And he was just, oh, he was tiny. I don't know what he has, but he was just this precious, such a sweet soul. And he loved her. He was always like right up, next to her. And I have photos of them just being like, they were just, it is a thing. I unfortunately haven't observed it a lot, but he was one of her closest um, companions, and it's just like this. Um, Even his mom would observe it. It's just this precious sort of. It's not like they would do a whole lot, but like their energy when they were together was like, yeah, we're we're both in this same frequency. That's what I get. And I think it draws them together. But like I said, I haven't firsthand experienced a lot of it. But yeah, the one boy, for sure, he was very close with her for years until we moved. And he was pretty functional, like he could walk over to her and kind of just stand there and just like hang with her. Um, so yeah, there's certainly a connection there that occurs. Uh, that even, and back then we just thought it was sweet, but now I can kind of see like, oh yeah. Reminding me of that. Yeah, there was a whole lot of stuff going on there. Um,
That is powerful, Erin.
yeah.
So may I suggest, we're now at the top of the hour, but Erin, would you be up for channeling a message from Hadden?
Yeah.
Then I suggest we give your contact information first if people want to connect more with you, and then those who need to go can jump off, and then you will do the message from Hadden. Shall we do it that way?
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
good.
So
Um,
people, if they want to connect with you, or because you do channel sessions with Hadden, where you channel Hadden and have sessions in that way.
yes, so I do have channeled sessions, and I also have, it's really important to me to, I feel like part of our purpose is to guide other people into their own connections, so I do that as well. And I call those are my soul speak private sessions. Um, where I guide you into your own connection, whether it's with yourself, your higher self, or someone you love or work with. And those are both available in private session form. And everything is on my website, erincameron.org. There's also a community there called the Divine Ability Collective. So, yeah, these messages from Hadden, I feel like, are part of how we serve our purpose here, and I just love bringing it through. I think it's much more beyond, it goes beyond the words and what you're learning. They're highly energetic, and you almost don't really even need to listen. You can just experience them.
Yeah.
But I think that she's bringing that energy through in her physical presence as well. This is just another way to experience it and sort of really get out of our minds and hang out in higher vibrations. So if that any of that sounds interesting, definitely my website is erincameron.org. So
Yeah.
find me
So
there.
good, Erin. Yeah. Okay, Lisa, this has been so amazing. Yeah. So good. Thank you. Thank you, Lita. Yes. So if anyone needs to jump off, feel free to jump off now, and then we will go into the channeling. How it will be like 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes maximum, right?
Yeah, I think we could do something pretty short.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
might
Just
go a little more toward 15,
yeah,
but
that's fine. Just so people know
as I get a
how
little
long
lost.
they're
I
signing up
usually can
for.
set an intention.
Yes,
Of the
the
recording.
channeling will be on the recording as well. Yeah. So no worries. Okay. Yes, I'm excited, Erin. So feel free to bring Hadden in.
Okay. I do channel with my eyes closed. easiest way for me to stay tuned in. So if you'd like to do that, you can join us. Yes, I am here, and I have been here with you all. Thank you for joining us in this space we created today. And now we guide you into your heart, fully into your heart, fully into your center point, and fully into this moment where we all exist as the fullest version of ourselves, the fullest expression of ourselves, in our full power. It is this moment that we guide you into. It is all that there ever really is. And it is eternal, as are you, as we all are. Eternal beings of light and love, without limitation, without definition. We are beyond all things, all human perception. We exist beyond all of this. And the energy and the truth that comes through now is a reminder of this existence of you, this part of you that is in every cell of you, that expresses through you so powerfully when you allow it, when you are in your heart and only in the moment. Just breathe. It is as simple as that. Breathe and feel the love you feel for anyone or anything in your life. And let that love expand. Let that feeling expand. Bring it into your heart and expand it through your entire body. Expand it through the breath, expand it through your presence. And as you become this love, as you exist in it and as it, you feel connected in all ways with everyone and everything and all that is. And as this unlimited part of you, this energetic part of you, how could you not know what another is thinking and feeling and communicating? This communication is only the beginning. It is what drew you here, what guides you into these higher levels of consciousness. But there is so much more beyond. As you live in this connection. Yes, you communicate, but what else? How does that change and evolve your experience of your world? As you communicate through love, through the energy that you are, it becomes part of you. It becomes what colors your life experience. And there is always more. This love expands infinitely. The source of it is infinite. Feel it flowing through you now. The pure truth of this love within it. Within it is the light that you are. And as we started today, we remind you that this is all for you. This is all about you. You coming into your heart and you coming into the knowing of who and what you really are and what it means to be human. And this will expand as you are infinite, as we all are. Infinite beings of light and love. Here now in this beautifully gifted, sacred moment together. We are always connected. But when we connect intentionally, we expand into each other's energy fields and become one. Become aware of the oneness, conscious of the oneness, become the oneness. It is all one. The earth, the animals, the humans that came here to enjoy it all. This is all about you. This is all for you. Bring that knowing into your heart and take it with you. Take the fullness of you. Take it in, take it with you. It is you. This is all you. We love you. And we have experienced so much joy here today. There is joy in the remembrance, joy in the being, fully and authentically who we came here to be.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Hadden. It was absolutely beautiful.
I felt that. Hopefully you guys did.
We definitely did. I feel so
Thank you,
centered
everybody.
in my
Amazing.
heart and so much love. Okay, I think it's time to wrap up. It's been such a great 60 plus 15 minutes. I really
Flew
enjoyed
by.
it so much. Yeah, exactly. And still, we covered so much. So first, I want to say thank you to everyone who was here with us. And then, Erin, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your words, your story. And thank you for sharing Hadden's words.
It's an honor and
Mm.
just, yeah, pure joy. I'm feeling it right now.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. And
Gift.
please reach out to Erin if you have any questions or want to connect with her more. I will also send her information in the email together with the replay in one of the coming days. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I'm wishing you all a beautiful day, and it's been so fun to be with you all. Thank you.